Why always on this night?
What night? What do you mean?
You always give me a doll on the same night of the year.
Oh. I didn't realize.
Tom Cruise plays the immortal vampire Lestat in Interview with the Vampire, one of the new movies we're going to be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. And also coming up, new films with Ted Danson, Mary Steenburgen, and Tim Allen, and the 30th anniversary of Dr. Strangelove. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is the eagerly awaited Interview with the Vampire, and now it's finally time to put aside the controversy. The author of the book, Anne Rice, originally complaining about the casting of Tom Cruise, then reversing herself. Oprah Winfrey walking out during the first reel because of the blood. And now, let's review the movie, which I mostly liked. And why? Because it really is about vampires, about what they think and feel and see. The story begins as a journalist, Christian Slater, interviews in a San Francisco apartment Brad Pitt as Louis, a man who casually says he's a vampire.
Don't be frightened. I want this opportunity.
How the hell did you do that?
The same as you do. A series of simple gestures. Only I move too fast for you to see.
Louis tells his story as the film flashes back in time to 1791 Louisiana to introduce the vampire who first bit and transformed him. That vampire is named Lestat, and he's played by Tom Cruise. Cruise is a little hard to accept at first, but he settles into the part, or maybe we just get used to him.
Do you still want death? Or have you tasted it enough?
Enough.
What seems gratuitous in the film, maybe the part that Oprah walked out on, are some early biting scenes involving Louisiana slaves. We feel like we've seen this before. Another key character in the film, a young girl, a plague victim restored to life, the life of a vampire by Lestat. The vampire child, played by Kirsten Dunst, eventually becomes a pseudo-daughter for Lestat and for Louis, who lost his wife in childbirth.
Claudia! Claudia! Now, who will we get to finish your dress? A little practicality, shall we? Remember, in our home.
I haven't really shown you the best part of Interview with a Vampire, and that's the production design of the French locations and the whole concept, and it's a fabulous concept of an underground vampire society, and the many quiet moments in which Lestat and Louis, the two vampires, talk about what it means to really be a vampire. This is an ambitious film by Crying Game director Neil Jordan. He's trying to encapsulate both the movie myth of vampires as well as the passion, the human passion of Anne Rice's psychological approach. And he mostly makes it all work.
Yes, he mostly does. And I agree with you about those scenes in Paris, especially that underground catacomb set.
Fabulous.
Which, you know, one of the reasons we go to the movies is to occasionally see something that really, it makes your jaw drop. And that scene is just wonderful because it implies, in a sense, this ancient society of vampires and how long this has been going on.
Sure.
I think probably like Tom Cruise more than you did. It wasn't that I had to get used to him. I saw him, the first time I saw him, I said, well, it is Tom Cruise. But on the other hand, he did a wonderful job of looking like Lestat and acting like Lestat. And I think this is an actor who is so clean-cut in his everyday image that whenever he does something like this, we're almost saying he can't do it, and then he pulls it off. I think he's an extraordinary young actor.
Oh, I think he's a terrific actor. I'm just saying, I felt I saw him pushing the part a little bit at the top. Then I got relaxed.
If I had a criticism of the movie, the thing that I liked the best was the mood.
Of course.
The look and the mood and the relationships. If I had a criticism, it's that not really very much happens. It's more like an interview with a real vampire and a look at the real vampire society than it is a story.
Oh, but what I like is the fact that this is guy, hey, you want to know what it's all about? Well, here's what it's all about. And this notion that this world exists, they made that world, that underground world, come alive.
Well, of course, the opening title at the bottom, it said The Vampire Chronicles. I wonder if that kind of is a hint.
That more's coming?
We're going to get more sequels.
30 years is a generation, and so maybe a whole new generation of filmgoers needs to be introduced to the greatness of Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, the 1964 Cold War satire about America's nuclear defense system run amok. And when I'm asked to name my all-time favorite movie, not necessarily the greatest movie of all time, but just my personal favorite movie, this is the one I pick. And it's been restored by Kubrick, and it's glorious. With the great Peter Sellers in a triple role, first as a British officer Mandrake confronting a renegade American general, Jack D. Ripper, played by Sterling Hayden, who has ordered a first-strike nuclear attack on Russia.
I'm afraid, sir, I was asked for the key and the recall code. Have you got them handy, sir?
I told you to take it easy, Group Captain. There's nothing anybody can do about this thing now. I'm the only person who knows the three-letter code group.
The order to attack naturally triggers a crisis in the Pentagon's war room where the president, Merkin Muffley, also played by Peter Sellers, tries to placate the Russian premier kiss-off in a classic phone call.
Well, let me finish, Dmitri. Let me finish, Dmitri. Well, listen, how do you think I feel about it? Can you imagine how I feel about it, Dmitri? Why do you think I'm calling you? Just to say hello? Of course I like to speak to you. Of course I like to say hello.
Lurking in the shadows is Sellers' third character, the demented German theorist Dr. Strangelove, who relishes the prospect of a nuclear holocaust so he can build a race of supermen with lots of women around.
Of course, it would be absolutely vital that our top government and military men be included to foster and impart the required principles of leadership and tradition.
Fabulous. The movie today seems as fresh and as pointed as when it was first released, when I saw it as a college kid. Technology run amok, bureaucracy run amok, and Peter Sellers at the center of it all. A great film, lovingly restored. You must catch it at theaters, especially if you haven't seen it before.
Oh, it's a wonderful film, and it's not dated. It's
not
fresh. It could play today. It could have come out today.
Right.
And we were talking earlier about that great set in the vampire movie.
Yeah.
Here is another movie with another great set, The War Room.
Ken Adam is the set designer.
The way that war room, that circle of light, and that map showing those bombers going toward Russia, the way that plays is so much of an underpinning to the effect of the entire movie, and then just one funny performance after another. How many movies, after 30 years, have given us two catchphrases? Precious bodily fluids and perverts. Preverts. How did I get that wrong?